Welcome back. Before we get started with today's video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Okay, so I'm here with George Seymour, and he is an actor based in London. George, how
Hi,
are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, thank you. Um,
Good.
so I just wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts on online theatre?
It is I was about to say necessary evil. It's new art form that is both exciting but also sometimes frustrating with limitations, I feel. I've kind of made this joke quite a few times to friends before, and I've said like I'd be very shocked if people are watching online theatre with people that they didn't know in. But then I actually did that the other week and I was like, oh my God, this is actually really good. I'm an idiot. I need to watch more. So yeah.
Interestingly enough, we're kind of both involved in the same online festival called Showface Festival.
Yes.
And I was just wondering, how did you hear about that opportunity?
So the director of our show, Lata Nobes, me and Christian Lovelace, who also studied at Arts Ed with me, were both in her production of 12th Night at Greenwich Theatre Studios in around, I think, December.
Yeah.
And me and Christian have worked together before on a couple of different things. And she basically approached us with this script that Alex Leakey had written, which he wrote for theatre, but then he's adapted obviously for Zoom, and said, would you guys be interested in this? And I basically always jump at the chance to work with Christian and Lata. So I was like, absolutely yes. And it's been a weird experience, but ultimately very fun.
So the show you're in is called Making Masks on Zoom,
Yes.
and that's going to be streamed live.
Yeah, live stream.
So
Like,
what? Oh, okay, no go.
I was going to say, like real theatre, any mistakes, you see them kind of thing.
So what have the rehearsals been like for that?
Well, without trying to give too much away, they've been quite hectic because there is a certain amount of tech involved, and obviously maneuvering of things. So they've been hectic, but also very much just, yeah, very, very different. I recently got a letter sent from the designer, because I haven't got a printer, who's basically, her name is Blue, sent me just a ton of faces printed out in a letter for this show, which is a weird letter to open around your housemates. They thought I was getting threatened or something. So it's also very strange. I mean, everyone's used to Zoom now. So everyone's used to, people freezing, people having internet connectivity issues and everything like that. So we are only praying that the internet connectivity is good on Sunday. Otherwise, there's going to be a mass amount of improvisation to hopefully cover it until it comes back on.
Is it just a two-hander?
It is just a two-hander, yeah. Which in itself, and it's a two-hander where we are obviously, I was about to say on the stage, but both present on the Zoom the entire time. So it's very much, before you click record on this, there is a certain amount of, on stage, you have the instinct of, if you're being watched, and you kind of expect it. I imagine you've had this response before of, on Zoom, you don't know who's watching you. And also you're constantly feeling like you could be being watched, but also you could not be. So it's almost like a different feeling of, I was going to say insecurity, not insecurity, because obviously you're there to be watched, but you kind of think like, okay, I can't really do anything wrong here.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, is, again, it's exciting.
So far during the rehearsals, what kind of challenges have you faced?
I think there's been a certain amount of challenges in that me and Christian have both been moving around a bit with other jobs and things like that. And so today was our final rehearsal. It's on Sunday. Today is, I believe, Friday, unless I'm completely wrong. And today was the first day we have both been in the same room, well, rooms that we're going to be actually doing it in. And so obviously there is movement within like the frame and everything else, and there's a certain amount of props involved. And doing that, I mean, obviously it's similar to theatre where you rehearse somewhere else, and you go into the space, but the get-in is where I live. So yeah, I think that's been difficult. And then also just, I'm sure you've had the same of, if you've ever had a self-tape to do and your flatmates are in, you're not feeling the best about it because your flatmates can hear you, and you almost have to be like, okay, there might be some yelling, there might be some weird emotions coming from here. Please bear with me. I remember at one point going to get a glass of water halfway through the rehearsal, and my flatmate's sister was just there, kind of like looking like at the door, because obviously she's heard, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm really sorry for ruining your Saturday.
When you're streaming the show, will you send a link for your flatmates to watch?
A tough one. That is a tough one. I will see if I've thought about this as well, because they have a TV next door, and I almost don't want them to be, if they are watching it, watch it on the TV and then have some weird feedback loop that I can hear myself, because that would be weird. My parents are definitely coming virtually, which is good. Again, just feels strange being on the TV. Whilst also doing it live, but that's what we're all getting used to now, isn't it? In these Zoom shows.
And on the other hand, what has surprised you? Have there been kind of like any pleasant surprises about the process?
I think it's very much, I was a bit skeptical at first about, as I said before, about Zoom theatre. And also about, because it's being a two-hander and so much of it involves listening, how I almost felt like I can't target someone with my my actions. So I thought I'd be a lot harder to respond to snappy dialogue where there could be some kind of, say, a feedback, or there is just a slight delay. But then you kind of have to roll with that and think, right, well, acting is meant to not be acting, right? So if you hear something like that, like, and you get frustrated, just be frustrated. That's fine too. Like, it's the whole thing of, if a mistake happens and you don't acknowledge it, that's worse than just acknowledging it and moving on. So I think, yeah, just really being able to still connect with people through it in the performance has been kind of surprising.
That's one of the things I've kind of brought up with people, like the whole kind of like eye contact thing.
Yeah.
Like I because I love like Meisner so much.
Yeah.
Just like being trained in the whole eye contact thing. And I think no matter how good like a piece of online theatre is, I feel just a little bit is lost.
There is definitely a tiny bit lost in just all aspects of it. But I think, you know, in terms of what we can do, it's still pretty good.
Yeah.
It's a bandage on a huge hole in the wall, you know? It's going to maybe stop some leaks, but at the same time, the hole's still there. So maybe more positive than that. There's a better way of saying what I'm trying to say, but there is obviously going to still be limitations throughout.
So, George, I'd like to thank you so much. But before we go, where can people find you on social media?
Sure. So my Instagram handle is I See More Than You. It's a pun based on my last name. It's terrible. ISEEMORE than you. And my Twitter account is George Seymour 01. Okay.
People, please do give George a follow on social media so you can see whenever he's doing a show or whatever his latest
whatever project. Else. Yeah.
And thanks again, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks again, Tunji.